Hey everyone, this is Richard, CEO of altFINS. In this video, I will cover yesterday's decision by the central bank in the US, the Fed, to keep interest rates unchanged, what's been driving the decline in crypto markets in recent weeks, and we'll also take a look at some technical analyses of some of the altcoins and look for some opportunities here in the near term. So let's dive in. As you've obviously discovered or noticed, the crypto markets, a lot of the altcoins have declined as much as 50–60% from their highs in March. And that could be an opportunity, but we have to be patient and find some opportune times to enter the market. Until then, until there's a real turnaround in the trend, we'll have to be more selective with our swing trading opportunities. By the way, a lot of these topics and trade opportunities are initially discussed in our VIP Telegram channel, which we had launched a couple of weeks ago. So if you are an annual, lifetime, or an education plan member, please do go to the platform and fill out your Telegram handle in your profile so we can add you to the VIP chat room. In terms of the trends, clearly there's been some deterioration in recent weeks, and we can see that under the signal summary page where we can see how many assets on a daily time interval are still in the strong uptrend. Out of 3,000, only 10 are in the strong uptrend, while 161 are in the strong downtrend across short, medium, and the long-term horizon. But at least in terms of uptrend, maybe not a strong uptrend, but at least an uptrend, there are 29 in an uptrend and 266 in a downtrend. Okay, this was a much different ratio between these two just a month ago. So clearly trends have deteriorated. Some of the assets have inflected and are in a downtrend, trading below their 200-day moving averages. Let's take a look at which assets are still in an uptrend on short-term, medium-term, and long-term basis. Okay, here are the results, and here's the market filter or market scan definition right here. So interestingly enough, some of the meme names are still technically in an uptrend. Pepe, Bonk, and a few others. We can look at the trend summary here on the trend tab, right? All of these are in an uptrend or strong uptrend across the board, right? And these could be interesting sort of pullback opportunities. Now, we could also relax this because there's basically 29 assets. We could say, okay, maybe on the short-term basis, they're not an uptrend, but at least they're on the medium and the long-term basis in an uptrend. So I got rid of the short-term filter, and now we get a few more assets in the results. I could also look at some of the preset filters. Again, the uptrend filter is here, strong uptrend filter is here, so you can jump to those results even from the screener directly. But we can also look at the opportunities for assets that are in an uptrend on the medium and the long-term basis, but have pulled back. So this is a pullback in uptrend potential strategy here, right? What's been driving this pullback in recent weeks? Well, it has to do with macro outlook and specifically the interest rate outlook. And even more, if we drill down even deeper into what's causing that uncertainty, it's the inflation. So inflation, here's your inflation or PCE and or personal consumption expenditures and the change in the PCE index. But basically, these are the two inflation indicators that the Fed or the US central bank is paying attention to. And as you can see, when the inflation was declining starting in second half of 2022 and throughout 2023, right, that was a positive for risk assets like technology stocks as well as crypto. And we saw a nice increase in valuations because the traders and investors assumed that as inflation was coming down, the Fed or central bank was going to start cutting interest rates. But the recent 2024 inflation data is showing that inflation is heating up again, it's perking up again, and so the Fed may not be able to, in fact, cut interest rates as soon as this year, which was the expectation. And that change in the expectations, in the outlook for the interest rate in 2024, the change in that outlook has been driving the markets lower. Now, a lot of the bad news, I think, has been already absorbed by the prices, and I think that we could see a bit of a relief rally in the near term. Here's another quick look at what the expectations have been or were in terms of interest rate cuts. Back in April and April 10th, the expectations were that starting in January 2nd, beginning of the year, the blue line, the expectations were that the rates were going to be cut by as much as 6% by the end of 2025. Then on April 10th, when some of the new inflation data came out, the expectations were reduced to only maybe 2 cuts by the end of 2025. And now we're really at maybe no cuts this year and maybe some in 2025. Okay, and here's another chart on where the interest rates are, right? In 2022 and 21 and 22, the Fed was raising interest rates to combat inflation. And it raised it basically from nothing, 0 to as high as 225 or 250, where it is right now. And the Fed decided to leave the interest rates unchanged yesterday in their decision. And that's where we are. And obviously the markets would like to see the interest rate starts coming down, which would be a boost to valuation of risky assets such as cryptocurrencies and technology stocks. But that cut in interest rates is now less likely in 2024 than previously thought. Having said that, again, I believe that a lot of this bad news has been absorbed. The market now knows that the interest rates cuts are unlikely this year, and we can move on. And if anything, there could be some positive surprise if the inflation rates begin to flatten out or even decline for the rest of the year. So where does that leave us now? Well, we do think that in the near term there could be a relief rally. We're still, if we look at the RSI 14 RSI levels, so relative strength index levels, we're still oversold. Bitcoin RSI is 33, Ethereum 39, Binance Coin not as much. Solana has bounced back as well, but a lot of these were at 30 or around 30, which is relatively oversold still. And so in fact, Bitcoin was at RSI 30 for the first time since January. So we do think that we're still at oversold levels, and we may see a relief rally, as I mentioned. The other positive sign for me is that, in 2 weeks ago when the first inflation data came out, crypto assets took it really on the chin, really hard. And then yesterday and 2 days ago, there were again some fears around or ahead of the Fed meeting, but the prices did come down, but didn't, for majority of the altcoins, the prices didn't dip below the prior lows. Okay, let me explain. When we look at Solana, for example, the price, as you can see, dipped, but stayed above the prior low. So it could be a higher low here. XRP as well dipped, but not below the prior low. Dodge, this one actually did dip below the prior low. Toncoin is a special situation. Cardano also stayed above the prior low. Shiba also above the prior low. Avalanche also above the prior low. Okay, you get my point here, is that for most of the altcoins, this most recent pullback, which was in the last 2 days, did not go lower than the pullback 2 weeks ago. So I think the sellers, the selling is exhausted. There's some exhaustion in the seller momentum or in seller pressure, and we may be able to see a higher low here, which could lead to some nice bounce up and maybe even some breakouts. In fact, there's a lot of assets. If we go to our technical analysis, a number of assets are on the verge of breaking out from channel down or falling wedge patterns. Let's take a look at here on the technical analysis section. We have technical analyses and trade setups for about 60 of the major altcoins, which I think is a great starting point for you to find some trading ideas, but also learn technical analysis for those who are looking to learn the TA, technical analysis as well. But looking at Cardano, for example, right? It's right, this is a channel down, clearly, but the price is now flatlining and really up against that channel down resistance trend line. So we might, and again, it made a higher low if you look at, right, where it was 2 weeks ago, and it dipped again this time, but didn't dip lower than that. And we might be just a couple of days away from a breakout from channel down. Now, that may not be a permanent change in the trend outlook, but in a sort of a short-term, near-term outlook, we could see a decent upswing or a temporary trend reversal. Let's take a look at a few others. For example, next one, Curve. Curve or CRV is the largest decentralized exchange, and it's also been going now sideways. There's the channel down resistance. It's getting really close to it. If it breaks above that, it could revisit, swing up to that 55 cents. So that would be a nice 25% of potential upswing. So keep an eye on that one. And you can do that through the alerts on our platform. But let's go through a few others. Elrond. Elrond, very similar situation, right? It's dipped again, but stayed above the lows from 2 weeks ago, and now it's pressing up against that channel down trend line, and we're potentially just a couple days away from a breakout. And again, I think where we could go is at least to this 45 level here, and potentially as high as 50, which would be again nice 20 to 25% potential upswing in price. Let's take a look at another one, GMX. Okay, this one's really breaking out already, I'd say. So let's see if it holds this support $24 and inflects higher, and then I'd say it's likely to revisit $30. Now it's clearly in a downtrend, so this is a bit of a riskier trade setup with because we would be trading against the general downtrend. So normally we don't advise, or I don't recommend going long or buying assets that are in the downtrend. But channel down is a reversal chart pattern. So most of the time when a price is trading in a channel down pattern, it is in a downtrend. And so for those situations and for those traders who are comfortable with such a higher risk trade setup, this is an interesting opportunity. Let's take a look at yet another one. Helium, HNT, also trading in a channel down pattern, also right up against that channel down resistance. This is a really stiff resistance area because there's also channel down resistance, 200-day moving average, and horizontal resistance level of 550. They all converge here. So this is really tough resistance. But if the price is able to break above that, that would be even more significant of a signal that we could see actually a resumption of uptrend potentially up to that $8 level. It's acting really well. Even today, it's up 8%. So it's really on the verge of breaking out potentially. Another one is optimism. Let's see if there's anything to be optimistic about optimism. And yes, indeed, it looks like it's broken out of the channel down pattern, but there's another resistance right ahead, which is the 200-day moving average. In my opinion, if it breaks above that, then we could conclude that this is a bullish breakout from the channel down pattern and maybe even a trend reversal. And the price could, at a minimum, revisit $3.50. Again, all of this is explained in the trade setup text here, as well as last one, TRX. This one's actually already broken out of the falling wedge pattern in this case, and that's worked well for about a 10% gain, and now it's up against the resistance zone of 12.5 cents. If it breaks above that, then we could see price revisit 14 cents. So we're keeping an eye on that, and it's really close to that. So let's, even in this case, we can set up an alert and says when the price is above 12.5, where is it? We can leave a note here for our alert: resistance breakout firms falling wedge breakout upside to 14 cents, I think I said. Okay, set this alert, and this alert will be delivered to you on this platform under the alert section, as well as to your mobile device if you've downloaded the altFINS mobile app, or it'll be emailed to you as well, potentially. Okay, I wanted to also take a look at one other thing, which is our oversold in uptrend preset filter, which is basically finds assets that are still in an uptrend on the medium and the long-term basis, but are oversold with RSI below 40. Now, there's not that many, and with the exception of Pendle, I'm not familiar with these. So we could relax this. We could adjust this filter a bit, right? And say, okay, let's relax this filter and say medium-term trend doesn't have to be up. Maybe it's enough if the medium trend is at least neutral, but not down. Okay, that's a 55. But also we want the price to be above the 200-day moving average, because that's another indication that this asset is still in an uptrend. Once it breaks below the 200-day moving average, for me, that's a no-go. I can save this filter and give it a name that oversold in uptrend I'll say my oversold and uptrend. Okay, now I can see it under my saved filters right here, right? Okay, in the future, I can just apply this filter and jump straight to it. Or in fact, I can go to this filter right here through the preset filters drop-down box, because it's now been added for a quick link preset filter. And we can see that in that results set are names like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. And at this point, what we want to do is see if any of these are near their support. So first we screen the assets to find those that are in an uptrend, at least on a long-term basis, and are oversold. And now we check visually to see if they're near a support level. You can also check the technical analysis here. In some cases, we have that available. Like, for example, Dogecoin indeed is at a support level of 13 cents. In fact, we indicate here in the technical analysis that this is a good trade entry. All right, so we can go through Toncoin as well, TON. You know, is it near a support zone? Yes, there's a support zone at $4.75. Right now it's at $4.90, so it's kind of bounced off of that already. So yeah, this is a potential entry point as well. And on and on. All right, guys. Well, I hope this has been helpful. Again, I encourage you to join our VIP Telegram group if you haven't already. We give our members first look at some of these trade setups, and there's just a great discussion within our community of various tips, trading tips, and you know, validation of some of their trading ideas as well. I'd like to also mention that this video is for informational purposes only, not meant to be financial advice, and please do your own research. Good luck trading.